Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. So today I'm just doing another discussion kind of video. I was kind of thinking about this a little bit, and that is the idea of, I guess you want to say, old retro versus new retro. And you're going, what are you talking about? Old and new? Isn't it all old? No, I mean, retro, I think in a sense, retro doesn't necessarily mean something is old. I mean, then we kind of use the word vintage when we want to say something is old. But the retro scene, the retro video gaming scene, a lot of that's not necessarily because it is old. And what you're playing on is necessarily old. We all kind of have our collections. We all kind of mix and match with the old and the new stuff. But when it goes to collecting and buying things, you have kind of two options. You can go with the original stuff, like go back to the old stuff, like the old Atari, for instance, or like the Intellivision. You can go and buy yourself a classic Intellivision, or you can go out and buy yourself a Flashback, which is a new retro. Now, from what I understand, the idea of retro is not necessarily that, again, that it's an old thing, but it's something that kind of is based off of something that is old. So even things that are brand new today can be considered retro. And so when, buying this stuff, you got to think, like, what do I want to do? I want to invest my money in? Does it make more sense to, say, go out and buy the old stuff, the old components, hunt them down in the thrift shops, hunt them down in the ma and pa antique stores, go to garage sales, ask the people if they have their old Atari and ColecoVision, and see if they're willing to part with it? Or do we invest our money in the newer stuff that is meant to be retro, in a sense that even things like the new Atari VCS that came out, I don't know if I guess it's new. It's fairly new. It's been out for a few years, I guess now. But that came out, and it promised to have some retro flair to it. They even designed it to kind of be similar to the Atari 2600 look, with the the black lines, and they put some wood finish on it or whatever, so they tried to make it look like it's something that would have been back in the day. And on top of that, they have like retro reimagined games in there, like Asteroids and all that stuff, and Yar's Revenge type games that play similar to the old games, the original games, but in fact are brand new, newly skinned, maybe have new components to it, more action. It looks a little bit more fresh and new. But when it comes to actually like collecting things, I did a video back where I talked about, the crazy cost of retro gaming and trying to buy the old components and all that stuff, and, people jacking up the price. And I think about all of the times that I've bought things over the years. I've spent money on eBay, because it got harder. It got harder for me to find this stuff. It's not like it was 15, 20 years ago where I walked into a thrift shop and, found a VIC-20 and found a Commodore 64 and a Sega Genesis and a Sega Master System, and the Intellivision. This very Intellivision here, this one, it still has, you could probably see it right there. That's the Goodwill sticker. Goodwill is like a, what do they call it? Like a thrift store. And this is like, it says $5.50. You wouldn't find this today in a thrift shop for $5.50. They would shove it in the showcase or hawk it online and try and get like 150 or who knows what. But anyways, yeah, it's just not like that anymore. So if I'm going to buy something like this, if I say I'm just getting into this whole retro collecting thing, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like that maybe they didn't, they haven't been buying this stuff throughout the years, but they want to. They remember playing on these things when they were kids, when they were teenagers, and they want to relive this stuff. So then they want to start buying this stuff again. Is it going to make more sense to do that, to hunt this stuff down, go on eBay and pay the $150, $200 to get the old system, or do they want to just stick to this, the flashbacks, you know? But I mean, the silly thing is, and I've done a video on this too, that these things have skyrocketed. Maybe not this one particular. This is just the Flashback 8. They're up to like 10 or 11 now. And there's nothing really special about this one. But there's one for the Intellivision that, you know, I tried to get my hands on at one point. I thought about it. But every time I see it for sale, it's crazy. It's like 100 plus. It's well over 100 plus. And I'm talking in American dollars. I'm in Canada. So for me, that's even more, you know, once I pay the exchange rate and then I pay for the shipping. By the time I get this plastic thing, you know, little cheap plastic with a little board inside with emulation on it, it's going to be about $200. And I mean, you know, for what? I'm getting an emulation device. But at the same time, I mean, we're talking about modern technology. You got an HDMI switch, you know, you plug it into your HDMI. It's going to work great on your new TV. When you buy something like this, the Intellivision, you know, the OG, the original Intellivision, you're going to run into some issues. First of all, you got to plug it in. And I know that, you know, you could just say, well, you just get a CRT TV. But for what I've been hearing, CRTV, trying to say that weird, CRTVs are not cheap anymore. They've gone up. The one I have, and I've said this before, you know, it's a funny story where someone put it out on the lawn right across the street from me, and I saw it, and I ran out the door and grabbed it. It was, you know, pretty big thing, and they put a sign on it that said I work. I just remember just grabbing this big TV, and I'm like, yeah, like a bandit in the night. And then I came, you know, luckily it was just across the street, literally across the street. And of course my daughter's just like, Daddy brought home a TV. I'm like, yeah, this is going to replace the other one that I had. And I'm still using it now. Plus I still have that one, just in case. But I know a lot of people don't have them. Especially people in other countries that don't have the, you know, the technology wasn't like it was here. You know, some of the other countries like that. So that's not always a possibility. So you're going to have to deal with the newer TVs. And I've seen posts like this on Facebook, where someone comes in, say in the Intellivision Invasion Facebook group, and says, I just bought an Intellivision. How do I plug it into my TV with HDMI cables and all that stuff? And then you got to face the, you know, do you want to mod it? Do you want to buy the components to make it work? Some of the suggestions are to use a VCR. Again, do you have a VCR? How many people have a VCR? Raise your hand. You know, I happen to have some, of course, because I've hoarded junk for many years and have had VCRs. Plus, I still have VHS tapes. Although I'm not really thrilled about using it right now, and I know the quality isn't going to be the best, but that's another discussion. But anyways, yeah, so I've heard that, you know, you use a VCR, and the reason why, if you're wondering why, you would plug the VCR into your TV, then using the RCA cables and all that stuff, and the cable connector, the coax, and then you'd plug in your Atari or whatever into the VCR. And of course, there used to be those switches. I should have grabbed one. I'll have to dig for it. But you know what I'm talking about. The little switch box that said game, TV. And you had a little wire there. You connected that to your coax. I mean, you don't need that. You never did need that. But, I mean, the reason why you would use that is if you were still using your TV as an active TV, you'd want to be able to switch from game to, you know, TV. But chances are, if you have a CRTV, you're not using it to watch TV anyways. So you just get those little tiny adapter plugs. You plug it in, and then you're ready to go. But then there's other problems that you have to run into. This is a good example here. Whoop. This is my ColecoVision, what do they call this thing again? Super Action Controller. I wanted to really try these things out. And I took a stab on eBay, and I paid quite a bit of money. I think, I don't want to make up a number, but I paid a good chunk of change for a set of these. And it came in a box. It was, like, I opened it up, and, like, cigarette plume came out. It just stunk. I had to, like, clean the heck out of them. I had to air them out. And then, you know, one of them didn't even work. Well, it kind of worked. It didn't, I think it was up. It didn't go up. So I was trying to play Donkey Kong on my Coleco, and Mario wouldn't go up the ladders. Then I was like, crap. So I even took it apart, and I couldn't fix it. But I got one working one. So, you know, there's a downside. You know, you're buying this stuff. This is probably like 40 years old. You know, it's almost as old as me. And how long is this going to last? I even have this little guy. This is a cheap joystick I bought back when I had my Atari Junior. And I've tried playing with this, you know, again on my Atari, and it was just no good. It just didn't work very well. And I even noticed with this. This is a classic Atari joystick. These things are like built to last. And on one of my last videos when I was playing an Atari game, I plugged this one in first, and it was going up and down, I believe, but it wouldn't go left and right. So now I'm like, okay, now I gotta fix it or clean it or throw it in the trash. I don't know. So that's another thing I'm gonna have to figure out. So what I'm kind of getting at is, if you want to start collecting the original OG stuff, you're almost gonna have to know how to fix it too. And a lot of people don't have the time for that. They don't have the skill set. They don't have the tools. So unless you know somebody that can do it, you have like a friend or there's a shop nearby where you could take your old stuff and get them to replace it, or not replace it, but replenish it, fix it. Like my VIC-20, like I said, I bought that from the pawn shop. I tried to get it to work the last time I did, and I just got a green screen, or black screen, or whatever. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know anybody that can fix it. I don't want to spend money on it either. So, you know, even if I did fix it, what am I going to do? Anyways, yeah, that's what I just wanted to talk about. It's just the new retro versus the old retro. Because, you know, obviously there's that conversation going on. You know, I did a video about that too. The response to RGT85's video about, you know, what's a true retro gamer. You have to be playing on original hardware. You have to use the original, you know, this. Obviously, I don't buy that. I don't believe in that. You're a retro gamer, you're a retro gamer. Whether you're playing your Atari on this, or you're playing your Atari on a real Atari. As long as you're playing Atari. Anyways, yeah, that's the video for today. I just wanted to throw that out there. Spark up a conversation. What do you do? What do you collect? Do you care? You know, I'm not a completionist in any way possible. I collect what I like. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think. Throw some comments down below. We'll talk to you later.